Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. It is Monday. Woo, it is a good Monday too. There's a lot of things we're going to get into today. The cases, the charges, all of the crazy stuff against Donald Trump's been dropped. That is breaking news. We're going to tell you the details as they come in, and we're going to talk about what we know and what we suspected all along. MSNBC could be in a lot of... In fact, we might start calling MSNBC InfoWars here pretty soon. We'll see what Mr. Musk decides to do. Trump has made some major decisions when it comes to who is going to serve in the military, and the military has even pushed back a little bit and said what they might be willing to do if Trump goes forward with his plan for the deportation of illegal aliens in our country. There's a ton of stuff to get into, and we have right about an hour to get into them. So we're going to hustle. Before we do that, let me say, head over to watchchad.com. That's where all the fun stuff is. Had an incredible weekend in Oklahoma City. Thank you guys for turning up, turning out. Oklahoma is so good to me. As much as I give you guys a hard time, you are so good to me. Thank you guys for showing up. Big shout out to the Bricktown Comedy Club over there for being so gracious. Wonderful hosts. Next show for me, Cooper Wade and I are going to be in Cuero, Texas, doing a little music and having some fun like we know how to do. You know how we like to do it. And then my birthday show, December 7th at Do-Si-Do in Spring, Texas. That's a beautiful historic music room, listening room. Get your tickets now, watchchad.com, and come see me. And there's a whole lot more on the calendar coming up as we head into the new year. Boy, oh boy, I'm so excited to talk to you about the things I want to talk to you about today. But a couple of ads from Chad. First of all, let me remind you guys to visit our friends over at Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile, they actually use, the old complaint used to be that with Patriot Mobile, that you're worried about the coverage. Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore. They're on the same cell towers that the big three are on, so you don't have to worry about coverages or outages or anything like that. You're going to have the cell service where and when you need it. Now, you want to make sure that you're supporting businesses that support the things you believe in. Patriot Mobile does exactly that. They are not one of those big three companies that's going to send a portion of your hard-earned income when you pay that bill to causes that you don't support and don't believe in. Patriot Mobile is going to continue to support first responders and our veteran and military heroes. They're going to take care of your First Amendment right. They support our Second Amendment rights. And, of course, they are going to hold on to the values that you build your life on. So give them a call over there. Tell them I sent you. Use promo code CHAD. They'll help you out with the activation. You keep your keep your phone that you have now. Keep your number. You can get a new phone. They'll help you with all those things. And betcha, they'll give you some help with that activation fee over there, too, if you tell them Chad sent you. So go over to patriotmobile.com. They're our friends. We love them so much, and they're doing a heck of a job across the board, and I'm happy to support them. You talk about parallel economy, man. Glenn and the gang over at Patriot Mobile, they are leading the pack when it comes to parallel economy. So go to patriotmobile.com. Boy, howdy, let's bring America's favorite producer in. I've missed this guy all weekend long. Royce Chamberlain, everybody.
Hello, good afternoon.
Royce, there's a lot of labels we could put on Donald Trump. Felon is not one of them anymore.
It is not.
We're going to talk about that. That takes away a massive talking point on the part of the left. Before we get into the stories, first of all, Royce, how was your weekend? Was it okay?
It was phenomenal. We got the Christmas tree up this weekend. We're full-fledged Christmas at the Chamberlain house, so we're happy. Thanksgiving's not at my house; it's at my parents' house. So we're full Christmas. Full Christmas.
I love it. I like the lights. I've got lights getting put on my house tomorrow. And excited about the lights. I like lights. I like exterior illumination, as Clark W. Griswold liked to say. And I am in this season, baby. I am in this season. It's 85 degrees here in Texas where I am, and I'm not feeling that just yet. But yeah, I'm excited about the holidays. Excited about Thanksgiving, mostly because of the turkey and the dressing. And my
the
famous
pumpkin pie for me, man.
I make macaroni and cheese for these holiday dinners, and everybody always wants me to bring my macaroni and cheese because it's simply the best. And a lot of people say, we didn't know that you ate macaroni and cheese with traditional holiday dinners. And I was like, well, after you try my macaroni and cheese, you'll never miss it. That's a fact. That's a fact. So I have people putting in orders for my macaroni.
Chad's Mac? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, you know what we do now? After you said that,
That's the new official name.
That is. So we're creating a whole new vocabulary. We got no Obama instead of no homo, and we've got
That's right.
Chad's Mac. So yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. So I intend to gain about 5 pounds this week. My good buddy is going to join us. Let's bring him on, Mr. Anthony Russo. He's no stranger to the show. Anthony Russo, everybody.
What's happening?
If you guys are ever watching Fox Sports, you'll see Anthony out there cheering on the crowd and putting the microphone in everybody's face and pumping everybody up before the football games. Where were you this weekend, Anthony?
The Ohio State University, and we will be back there at the Ohio State University again next week for the game against Michigan.
So when you do all that stuff with Fox, and I know you're running around and you're pumping up everybody and you're just going wild and crazy, do you get to pay attention to football at all, or do you even care about the games anymore?
It's funny. If you were to ask me like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, I need my paycheck again. I need to get back working. But now I really, really enjoy college football again. Like if I'm going to pick my sport is going to be college football. And I've come to enjoy it. I typically am flying out during the game. I work the pregame, Fox Big Noon kickoff, and then I'm out. But yeah, at this time of the year, it's getting kind of interesting, especially with the playoff stuff. So I'm back being a sports fan again, at least for college football.
I like it. Well, I'll tell you this: Ole Miss, Alabama, and somebody else screwed me this weekend. I can't even think of who. I got screwed so many times this weekend. I can't even think about who
Oklahoma City was that good? Oh, not like that.
Well, it was funny because the people that Alabama played Oklahoma there in Norman at home, and my audience, my shows, I had 2 shows Saturday night during the games, and they were packed. My shows were packed. That's how little hope Oklahoma fans had for the Sooners this season. I was walking down the hallway in my hotel room that afternoon, and these 2 couples were coming down, and the 2 girls were in front. They were all dressed out in their Oklahoma gear, and I looked at them and I said, "Are you guys going to pull it off tonight? Y'all going to take care of business?" And she goes, "Yeah, probably not." And I said, "Well, at least you've realized where your season is." But then they went and beat the crap out of Alabama. So that was a shocker. Speaking of shockers, I don't know if it's a shock to me. It might be to you guys. I want your take on this. They've dropped the charges. They have dropped the charges against Donald John Trump, elect 47, the former president 45. Jack Smith, he's filed a motion to dismiss all the charges against President-elect Donald Trump. Now, a lot of people, they postponed the sentencing for 4 years, and a lot of people said, well, that's because he's president-elect. And it's like, no, because we knew it was a sham trial, it was lawfare, and it was going to get dismissed and just completely debunked in appeals anyway. But these guys are trying to save their own skin. If I was Jack Smith, I would go to a country of where I could not get brought back. I mean, I know, country of non-extradition. He needs to go to Belize or I don't know where else, Costa Rica or where. Let's start with you, Anthony. This is brand new breaking. We haven't talked about this. I didn't even send you this story. Did you see this on the horizon?
I did not see it on the horizon. I saw it 4 minutes before I jumped on and started reading on it. I knew we'd have to talk about it. This is one of those ones that's this is just further evidence that all of this was strictly for the purposes of election interference. It's This is proof. They're dropping it. The only thing really left now is the RICO case in Georgia, which should have already been dropped. Fani Willis, whatever, is a complete sham in terms of her role. So this one was the one that I think people were holding on to, that last-ditch hope by the left. We're still going to find a way to bring him down. And then clearly this is falling through as well. It shows what we've been through the last year from an information or misinformation basis in this country.
Yeah. And, they can't use that term felon anymore. That's been the big thing. It's been rapist, felon, all of these things. Royce, how do you think that they're going to, the left, when they jump on X and they start trying to use their name calling for Trump, do you think they'll drop this or will they keep up the felon nomenclature? What do you think, Royce?
Well, they claim they're not election deniers, but they're going to deny this, right? They're going to be like, oh, he was paid off. They're going to come up with some excuse. But this is, can't be viewed as anything less than a total victory for the Republican Party because Jack Smith was 100% the most aggressive. That next to Fannie Willis, maybe. I don't know. All of them are bad. But Jack Smith was the most aggressive towards Trump. He had the most cases. It was ugly. And the fact that he's coming out now and dismissing all the charges, all the cases, is huge. And I think, if anything, I hope the left sees this and understands that, hey, maybe it was a sham all along, because that's what this proves right here. The fact that he's dropping it just like that. You know? I think if it was true that he'd keep pushing, considering how hard he was pushing before, but no, he dropped it. So it's
he dropped it. And these guys were activists, right? I mean, let's be real clear on that. And I can't wait for the time when the appeals comes along and the E. Jean Carroll thing is going to be exposed for the sham that it was. Anybody with any shred of common sense whatsoever knows that those were trumped up charges. And I mean, just completely out of pocket. I mean, this judicial system, completely out of pocket. I have no trust in this institution anymore. Our court system is absolutely just driven by activist judges. And we knew this was a targeted attack. This is how you go after your political opponents in communist countries. And they did that. The Biden administration 100% did that. And so here we are. We knew that this was going to drop. We knew that it was just going to be an absolute mess. But I think the winning just going to keep on coming. And so little bobblehead Donnie just keeps fighting. Just keeps fighting. If you got to fight, you got to fight. There's so many things that are happening. And you know what? Trump is he's taking the fight to them, boys, at this stage in the game. I mean, there is so much going on that he's not even president yet. And Trump has already come out and, I mean, this guy's got such thick skin. I've never seen anybody ever. Like, I was having dinner 10 feet away from him at Mar-a-Lago when the 91 indictments or whatever were being handed down, and he's over there playing YMCA on his on his iPad and playing DJ there at Mar-a-Lago over dinner. I'm like, this guy is just not sweating it. He's just not sweating it. I've never seen anything like it. I'd be a nervous freaking wreck. But Trump is going at him, and he's going after some of the most demonically inspired people that our country is producing right now, and that is specifically the LGBTQ plus 2A, however many spirit, gender, ideology, army, alphabet soup people. Those people are just inspired by demons, man. And I'm not talking about your rank and file gay. I'm talking about the people who are ready to just absolutely come at you. Trump says he's knocking the trans people out of the military. In this first administration, he said you can't join. You could stay in if you were in, but you couldn't join because so many of them were using federal funding and joining the military to get their reassignment surgeries paid for. But now he's got an executive order plan to remove all transgenders from the U.S. military. That's gonna remove. There's about 15,000 active service personnel. They would be medically discharged and they would be determined unfit to serve. Anthony, does this sound like hate to you, or does this sound like something that's reasonable and needs to be done? What are your thoughts?
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't look good, but that's because of the policy that has been enacted to just allow them to just keep coming in. And it's like, I have to be honest, I MC some events for military groups where it's like they're trying to do enlistment, it's marketing, etc. They are begging people to join right now, whether it's the Army, Navy, whatever it is, because of the fact that they have just found a way to let in the weirdest, wokest ideology. And our military, unfortunately, is the weakest it's ever been. And partially it's because of stuff like this. Like, I don't know if medically discharging them is the right way. I don't know if there's a better, because I don't want them to have a blemish on their record for, unfortunately, a misappropriated administration prior. But this is the way that it has to go. We have to essentially build the military from the ground back up, take away some of this woke ideology, and get people that are like the tough guys, the ones that actually want to be a part of the military, to do the right thing, to protect our country, to protect our freedoms, and then actually get them back in. And this is the first step on how to do that, no matter how upset the left is going to become over this hateful rhetoric.
Yeah, well, I mean, we live in a culture of safe spaces and hurt feelings, and this is certainly going to hurt a lot of feelings. This is going to be all the people out there on the left who are saying, "See, we told you he was going to roll back LGBTQ rights." Now, I don't see it as that. Royce, do you see this overall as an outcome for the positive, or is this going to be a PR nightmare?
I do believe it's probably going to be a PR nightmare just because, historically how the left reacts to stuff like this. But I would also consider this a victory.
Yeah.
Graham was talking about it this morning on his show, and he's a veteran. There are plenty of veterans who are told they are not allowed to rejoin the military because of small issues. He was a recruiter, and they wouldn't let people in the military because they had a tattoo on the back of their neck or something weird like that. But they're letting these people come in and the government is paying for their transgender therapy, or they're coming in as transgenders. And quite frankly, if I was to make a joke here, they're kind of known for switching sides anyway. So I don't think we want them in our military in the first place.
Right.
If you see what I'm saying, I'm just being honest here. I don't want people who are just going to switch sides in us back and forth. It's not a good look.
I don't want a warrior that doesn't know which uniform to wear, so to speak.
Sure, yeah.
No, but on a serious note, I don't want to be like. First of all, I'm steadily on record as saying I don't believe we should have females in battlefield conflict. Right? Sitting behind a keyboard somewhere, operating a drone or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in a battlefield conflict. I don't believe women should be. I sure as sheesh don't believe that some guy who's on estrogen, or is starting to get his boobs come in, or his voice is starting to change, or his balls drop in a weird way. I don't want that person in the foxhole next to me because I don't know when they're going to start nesting and crying. So I don't want them to pull out their phone and start showing me their album and their pictures of what the babies look like. Oh, let me show you my babies, and they're a couple of Pomeranians. I don't want that holding the gun next to me, right? So it was a misappropriation of federal funds to be able to have to go in and medically treat people, not only the psychology of it and the therapy of it, but the transitional surgeries that go into it. You remember that scene, and I want to go see the new Gladiator. I don't know if either of you have seen it yet. That's one of those I want to see it at the theater.
Yeah, I agree.
I gotta go see that stupid ass Wicked movie today.
Ooh.
I know it's a thing.
You got to go see it. Why is that?
I gotta go. I'm not happy about this.
Did
Anyway,
did you see the videos of Ariana Grande and whoever the other chick is that's playing where they're like, oh, the Oz has always been queer. It's always been queer. It's always been
they were on that
way.
Out interview, and I don't know. I'm like, why are I got roped into a thing, and I don't want to talk about it, okay? But I brought it up, and I shouldn't have talked about it because now I'm going to catch hell for it. So go to where we do podcast, go to where podcasts are offered, leave a rating and review, and tell me how much you're disappointed in me for going to see Wicked. And I'm not even gonna look. I'm not gonna keep my eyes open. All right. But there goes Anthony. One freaking star. One freaking star. I hope, Chad Prather, we hope your legs roll up under the house like the Wicked Witch of the East, whichever one. I don't know. You remember that opening scene of the movie Gladiator, the one with the only one with Russell Crowe, where at the beginning the Felix legions are going up against the barbarians out there, and they sent a messenger on a horse out there to ask for terms of peace. And then the barbarian comes up over the hill, and he just, first of all, the horse comes running back with the rider on it, but there's no head. And the guy just tosses the head out there, and it comes rolling down the hill. And they said, well, I guess we got our answer. That's how I want the American military to be. I don't want a bunch of sissified diplomats, limp-wristed soy boy cucks that sit in the corner and watch their girlfriends with their boyfriends. I want to see killers. I mean, stone cold assassins. I mean, I want these dudes with bloodlust. I want every one of them ready to go out there and just make mincemeat of the enemy. I don't need some guy who's trying to pick out drapes or manscaping or worried about, what time of the month his first period's going to pop in. I don't want that stuff going on in our military. I want soldiers, by God. And I mean, is that hateful of me to be that way, guys? What do you think?
The way that we sleep at night is based on that ideology. Think about where we are right now, that there's literally guys in the military that are not only serving shoulder to shoulder to protect this nation with the strength that they have, that are also the same ones that they're hiring to do drag shows
Yeah.
for the groups. Like these aren't like bringing in like the whatever quartet of queer. Can I say that? I don't know.
Yeah, you
Like
can.
they're not bringing that in. They're literally taking their own soldiers that are identifying as whatever, dogs, women, whatever, and they're doing the shows. This is the entertainment are also the soldiers. These are not the people that are going to go up against Russia if needed or China if needed, especially with what's going on with the end of the Biden administration. We have to have that savagery in order to continue us to be a strong nation. It's absolutely insane that we are where we are. If you would have told the Democrats 15 years ago that this is the Democrat leftist ideology in our own military, let alone our country, they'd be like, you're a conspiracy theorist, way too far. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Listen, Royce, we already have an epidemic of suicides amongst our veterans with post-traumatic stress. They're already dealing with mental issues because of what they faced in the battlefield, in the theater of war. We're already dealing with that. Why in the hell are we sending people who already have mental dysphorias going on, again, confusion in their brain? They have identity issues. Why are we going to send them into these types of scenarios, knowing that mentally they are already susceptible to these types of problems? Listen, first of all, we already know that people with these dysphorias have a suicide attempt rate of about 45%. So when you have half of the population of these people doing that, why are we going to send them in where they potentially have post-traumatic stress if they come back from a battlefield? I don't see this as a hate move. I see this as compassion. What do you think, Royce?
I agree. Quite frankly, our country, I think, looks so incredibly weak right now to our adversaries, to people like Russia and North Korea and China. We just look weak. We have generals, people leading our military that are transgender, actively in office right now, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like the army ads that we put out like back in, I don't know, 2022 or something? Like they were just soft, man.
Yeah.
And then Russia's putting out like these hard, like awesome, cool military ads. And we just look weak and pathetic. And now we've gotten ourselves into this predicament where now there's articles coming out like, oh, the military is now low on ammunition and bombs because we've given it all to Ukraine. And we have no money because we've given it all to Ukraine. We've given all this crap to Ukraine. They're not going to come fight our war.
No, not
We're
a
too
bit.
busy fighting theirs, and we look bad while doing it. It's embarrassing all around.
And the Biden administration, who has been consistently called out, Michael Moore, who I never agree with, but Michael Moore, at least in a fair-minded dialogue or monologue, said that the Biden administration is losing their mind because they're getting us into World War III. Joe Rogan said he was an effing idiot for doing it. He's actually considering giving nuclear capabilities to Volodymyr Zelensky. That's another breaking news story we don't have time to get into. But guys, I mean, that literally puts us into some chaos. I almost see Joe Biden say, "Oh, run me out of the campaign, will you? I'll blow the whole damn thing up." That's sort of where I see us sitting right now. You're right, Royce. You're right, Anthony. That's why I bring you on here, because this is our echo chamber, and the rest of them can kiss our rear ends. I want some stone cold killers out there. Yeah, I mean, when China is showing their fifth graders taking a Glock apart, and you get their elementary school kids are taking a Glock apart in class and putting it back together, and Russia is showing these dudes that are, I mean, those are recruiting videos. And it was funny to me how they had this woke ass military stuff, these commercials advertising. And I'm glad you mentioned that Graham Allen, I'm glad you mentioned that he was a recruiter. And recruiters will tell you there's certain things that they look for. They said, "Nah, you're not a good candidate for this." And it was funny when things started to escalate a little bit. The tensions were escalating with China and Taiwan and Ukraine, and talk of boots on the ground in Poland and things like that. Man, it's funny how white and male those military commercials got. Like overnight, they started going back to recruiting rednecks. Multi-generation military families, they started targeting those people. So get them out. I listen. I think it's the most compassionate thing we could do. Get them out now. If we're gonna pretend that our military is one big bureaucracy like the rest of our big government blob, that's one thing. But I have a problem with that as well. I don't want our military to be one big bureaucracy. I want a stone cold killing machine. I mean, tip of the spear kind of stuff. Send them in 300. This is Sparta.
Yeah, we need the assassins, the ones that are
Yeah.
used at a very specific instance, not like, and that's the way that our military essentially has always been up until recently. Even though there was a lot of corruption, there was a lot of wars we probably shouldn't have fought in. But when you've got Chinese kids learning how to do the Glock, you've got Russian kids that I'm sure can fire an AR by the time they're 10 years old, and we're worried about probably our 13-year-old males that probably are learning how to put tampons in at this point. We have to be concerned for the future. And hopefully we got in just in time in 2024 in this election to right the ship so that we don't become as weak as we possibly could be.
That's true. And I want to go to this next topic because Gen X honestly saved us. Generation X, my generation, saved us. You boys are welcome. Gen X saved us in this election. Once my generation is gone, we got a problem here in America. We already have a problem, but we have a reprieve. We have a window to make things right and show this younger generation just how great this country can possibly be. Now, one of the things that the military has said in response, when I say the military, I mean there's a few of those woke general folk out there who have said to Donald Trump that, no, this deportation plan that you have, we're not participating in that. Throw that one up there, Royce. President Trump, if he orders mass deportation, the military may refuse. That's what Business Insider said. Well, I mean, you see what Nick Sorter said, arrest and court-martial the top brass. We are in an invasion. This country has been invaded. We do not know how many millions of illegals are in this country, particularly how many millions have come across the southern border in the last 4 years under the Biden administration. I have to believe, Anthony, that there are enough members of our military who not only will understand the orders of their commander-in-chief, but there's got to be some people with enough common sense that they took an oath to the Constitution to protect from, threats, both foreign and domestic, that they got to understand that would be a traitorous move. What are your thoughts, Anthony?
Yeah, like hugely traitorous move. But first off, articles like this, like I have to, whenever it's like an emotional response, I have to be careful to be like, who did he hear it from? Like
Good
Steve
point.
told Jimmy, told John, and then maybe we got to this point. But ultimately, there was two major reasons why Trump won the election. It was the economy and immigration. And if immigration is one of the top ideologies that needed to shift, I can't imagine the military going along with this. I don't know the weight this story holds, but ultimately it would, if the top generals decide to go along with it, they should be fired. And also it should be considered, I should be considered some kind of treason at this point, but I don't think that this would be a serious threat by the military. They'll do what they are told as long as it doesn't involve violence, hurting people. It's a simple duty. You pack them up and you send them home.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about kicking doors in urban areas or whatever, going door to door and hauling people out in zip ties and things like that. We're not busting in doors looking for insurgents here. I think this is going to be a coordinated, strategic plan. I'm not anticipating chaos or some kind of melee in the streets. So you're right. That's a fair point. That's one of the things I love about you, Anthony. You are one of those guys who goes and tests both sides. Unlike me, I'm ready to jump into the emotional fray. I'm ready to go. Royce, what's your take on the deal?
I mean, I don't really know, man. It doesn't make much sense to me. We clearly
Royce wants them to go kick the doors in because you know what? That's going to bring more viewers to us.
Yeah. Okay. If you think about it, man, that's really what they did to us, though.
Yeah.
If you really look at it, if you look at those videos of them pushing back the gates and busting through and all that we've allowed them to do and breaking in and hurting our people, killing our citizens, hurting our women and children, that's what they did to us. I have no sympathy when it comes to kicking them right back out. If a rat runs in your house, you're going to smack it with a broom. You're going to shoot at it. You're going to do whatever you got to do to get it out. Exactly. Fight, right? So, I mean, I guess that's my thought there. Yeah. I
You
guess
know
my
what?
thought there is
And
just
that's
get
a-
him
and
out.
it's-
I have no sympathy.
And that's why you're America's favorite producer, because that's a profound thought. I mean, I love how Royce says, I don't really know what, but yeah. And then he says the most profound thing of the entire show. You're
I had to
right.
let the thought accumulate really quick.
I mean, that's how they came in. That they came in many ways by force. I mean, how many times did we see video of? And I will remind people of this. We saw video of them, either cutting the wire, or even Border Patrol agents cutting the wire, or people with forklifts lifting up the concertina wire and letting people crawl underneath. But then you remember the Border Patrol agent on horseback that was accused of whipping that Haitian illegal that was coming across.
Split reins.
Yeah, the whole thing. And they were saying, and it was a split rein that was flying out away from him. They said, he's whipping him. Even Joe Biden propagated that stuff and pushed it and promoted it to the point where they had death threats and a bounty on that Border Patrol agent's head down in Del Rio, Texas. And if you know the true story about what that Haitian illegal was doing down at that river that day, slapping women around in the middle of they were trafficking children and women and all that. Yeah, it was not a good human being. When you consider the Lake and Riley cases or the Nungaray case here in Houston, so many different events it's like, it's time that we have got to do what we have got to do. And if the president, the commander-in-chief, calls on the military, calls on the National Guard, you've got a duty. You took an oath to do it, and you got to do it. Now, again, we're not talking about round them up, putting them in camps and extermination. That's not what nobody's talking about stuff like that. We're talking about the letter of the law. We're talking about a system of law and order. That is what this country is built on, and the rule of law has got to rule out. And I think that's all he's proposing in a deal like this. But again, to your point, Anthony, the fancification of these stories is what gets into people's emotional craw, and that's what makes people just kind of go haywire mentally on this thing. So
there's the other story that's been out also about the deportation camps, and they're making that out to a big deal. And it's like, first off, when you say the word camps, people think concentration camps, so they lose their mind. Like, oh my God, he is Hitler. I told you. There's a way to do a camp that's like, all right, you get people into a place. It's called it's like a middle ground where you go someplace and then you get deported. So it's all these stories that are just built out of fear. And some of them also come from the right, like that one did. So we don't fully know. I guess it's not even January. It's not even January yet, let alone January 20th. We will see exactly how it is handled, and we can judge it at that point.
Well, I can tell you this. I trust Tom Homan. I know Tom Homan. I think Tom Homan is sharp. He's not driven by emotions. You talk to these guys who spent this much time down on the border, seeing it firsthand, operating with these Border Patrol, ICE agencies. They know the ins and outs of it. They know the tricks of the trade with these people who have come across the border. These guys, they're pretty wise. They're pretty cunning, if you will, and they know what they're up against. And that's why I love how Tom Homan has the ability to dissect with logic and critical thinking and take away the emotion of it and say, hey, this is what has to be done. You apply certain standards to these people that are here illegally that you would not apply to the average American citizen. Oh, you're going to separate them from families. Well, if I got arrested, they would separate me from my family. That is exactly what would happen. I love what Homan said. They said, just deport them together.
Yeah, that was the line of the year so far from him.
And I'm not without compassion here. I'm not without empathy. But this has been an invasion. And let me just say, to tie these two stories together between the transgenders in the military and this border invasion, I love what some people have hinted around about of naming the cartels transnational narco-terrorists, sending in Tier 1 agents of the military, sending some Delta Force guys, and let's take care of business when it comes to these cartels. And I promise you, they will not be sending in the people who are on estrogen. They're not rubbing Premarin on their newfound labias. They're just not sending those people in. Okay, let's get to stuff that also affects us. You mentioned the economy of being one of the top things. This could directly affect the economy in a big way. Trump's talking about what he's going to do with the IRS. and the potential for a new tax system. Replace the U.S. Federal Code, 7,000 pages and millions of words with a simple flat tax. Now, I don't know how I feel about a flat tax. I've had this debate a number of times. I think there's different ways to do it that would be similar to a flat tax. I don't know that just a flat tax overall. Now, me personally, I think taxation is theft. I think the correct number for taxing people, American citizens, is exactly $0. And I can make that argument as well. Everybody, who's going to pay for the roads? They'll get taken care of. I promise you. We have the capability of making enough ground flat and paved for your Tesla Cybertruck to drive on. But it does need to be simplified, right? This thing, I mean, the tax code is impossible. I mean, these CPAs, who knows if we've ever even filed our taxes properly, because nobody knows and we're all three self-employed individuals in a number of ways. So we're really got our necks on the guillotine. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this deal? I mean, I like simple English. I don't necessarily speak it all the time, but I like hearing it.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a quick Trump weave on this one because I got to go back to the last thing real quick. I got an idea for the illegals. If we want to use non-lethals to get them out here, we can use the newly founded tampon shooters. And though they're just pop, 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 I think that could be very functional. Anyways.
Genius.
Yeah,
have you patented that?
I just came up with it. We'll talk about it after the show.
All right. Nice.
But no, in terms of flat tax, I'm friends with enough libertarians where I've been pitched this idea over and over again. And for the last 4 years, I have firmly believed in a flat tax. I'm with you, Chad. Like, taxation as theft is a huge thing. I do think there needs to be some element. I would love at length to have a discussion on how we would pay for the basics without any taxes. That's a different, obviously, discussion. But from a flat tax perspective, you're making sure that everybody is paying a fair share. The people that don't make much, they pay their 10%. As somebody like all of us files our own taxes, it's the most complicated thing. You're paying somebody. The only way you know if you did it right or wrong is if you get audited. And then if you get audited, guess what? You did it wrong no matter what. So you just have to, it's just, simplifying it would cut so much extra government work and actually could be more efficient. And if you believe in where the tax dollars are going, which we haven't for decades, I think that that's where the shift can come from. If it's 10% of my income and I look at a Trump administration that's functioning with the new Doge and they're actually looking at where dollars are going, I'm all about paying a little bit for the fair share, but it needs to be limited and it needs to be effective and not going to Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be a good citizen. I don't want to pay for transgender studies in Pakistan. I don't want to talk about underwater exploration training in Sudan. These are the weird things that our tax. I mean, if you look up the stuff that we're paying for globally, it's insane. It's just absolutely dumb. But then you look in our own country, and there's been a huge debate about, we're going to hire 84,000 new IRS agents. We're going to arm them for various reasons. There's a huge debate on that because a lot of people on the left say, well, you guys don't understand what they're doing. I mean, you guys always have some kind of clapback, pushback. I'm just telling you, there's no damn reason for a pencil pusher with an application and a form to fill out to be carrying a Glock 19 and potentially using force. I want to be a good citizen, Royce. I want to do what my country demands of me. I'm with you, Anthony. There's a part of me that says, hey, I want to be a good, responsible citizen. I give even when it's not asked of me. I try to be generous. I try to be charitable. I try to look out for the greater good. But again, these are strong-arm Gestapo tactics that if I make one mistake, they're coming for me. I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, I get about 185 1099s a year. That's a lot. I have to give my CPA power of attorney to go in and just get all of the 1099s because inevitably something got lost in the mail, and now I'm in trouble if I don't file that or tell them about that. And now we have to wait on during COVID and now post-COVID IRS and the bureaucracy that stinks to high heaven for them to open up the email and the request for them to get around to that. So, I mean, you end up, a year or two behind on stuff and you're like, look, I'm trying to do the right thing, but I'm up against this major bureaucracy. Do you think, Royce, there's a chance that we ever see well, let's just call it what it is. We get rid of the IRS?
I wouldn't doubt it. If you look back at what Elon did with Twitter, I forget the exact number, but he fired something like 70, 80%.
70%.
Yeah, I think it was
Higher 90% or something.
I think it was closer to. I thought it was closer to 90.
Closer to 90. It was something regardless. 80%, 90%. Same point we're getting across here. Insane. And in my opinion, X, Twitter, now X, has never been better. It's never worked better. It's never felt more free. The features are incredible. And I think him and Vivek Ramaswamy is going to come in and do the same exact thing with the IRS. Now, they might just be suicide bombers. They might go in there and just say, hey, it's all gone. We're done. Goodbye. Peace out. Job over, right? Doge is gone. We just fired everybody. I don't know. But regardless, do I see a world with no IRS? I don't know, because we are going to pay taxes, but I wouldn't mind it. And I'll tell you, I am all for a flat tax. There's a few things about it, few logistical things that I don't quite understand yet, how some things would work. But from a basic, optical standpoint, easier, better, right? That's how I view it. Easier, simpler, better. It doesn't get much simpler than that. So I'm all for it. And how many IRS agents did we hire back in 2020? What was the number?
80-something thousand.
84,000.
84,000 people that I think are doing jack squat, if I'm quite honest. And, I wouldn't mind, I'd be happy if those people were working day in and day out to give me a receipt of exactly where every single one of my tax dollars went at the end of the year and say, hey, 1,000 of your tax dollars went towards transgender therapy. And I'd be like, what? And then we could kind of put our government, on the stage and say, hey, what is going on here? Why is my money being spent here? And it'll all be transparent. I wish that was happening, but it's just not.
What if they did something like this, where look at what Elon did for the election and made it. He knew who won hours in advance. So what if he cuts the IRS? This is what I would think would be the best case scenario. Cutting the IRS to a skeleton crew and then automating it to a sense where people have an easy way to fill out their taxes or have their accountant fill it out online and actually have a functioning program that works. I don't know if people know this, but Elon created his own program for the election and actually knew the results about 3 hours before anybody had any idea. He left the party he was at and he said, Trump won, I'm out of here. He knew that far in advance. So if he could create something that clearly has never been created by Fox News, MSNBC, or any of the actual pickers, if he could do that in one election season, what can he do to make our IRS and our tax system function?
Did you see? Did you see the AI mock-up of based on whatever DNA and genetics and all this kind of stuff, when the AI did a mock-up of what they thought the first man, what Adam looked like? Did you guys see that on the? It looked just like Elon Musk. It looked
I didn't see that.
Go
no.
look that up. It looks just like Elon Musk. My buddy Gunther Engelman put that out there. It was hilarious. I started to retweet it, but hilarious. I mean, it's Elon Musk. I mean, basically, so you're like, oh, the progenitor of our society, the savior of our society, the man who will culminate all things and bring us into the kingdom of glory. It's Elon Musk.
It's Elon Musk.
The savior is also on the spectrum. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely on the spectrum. But no, I think there's a lot of things. You see, listen, okay. You take, for instance, and I want to say this quickly because we got to go. Take, for instance, what he did. I mean, the guy invented the largest rocket ever. The guy has a plan to take us to Mars. I've
said rocket with chopsticks. Don't forget that part.
Rocket, and I mean, the guy did. He built a reusable rocket. He sent the thing up into the stratosphere. And then it came back down and went right back where it took off from. And it grabbed it. I'm like...
Elon Musk founded PayPal. He founded SpaceX. He made self-driving cars, an AI robot that Kim Kardashian currently has at her home. Okay? Self-driving taxis. I mean, Stinkin created his own, like you mentioned, voting, calculation system that was better than any other thing. The dude is a genius. He is a modern day, and I say modern day, not that there's ever been any other, but he's like Iron Man. He's Bruce Wayne,
He's
Iron
Tony
Man,
Stark.
he's all of them combined. He's Tony Stark.
The guy is, in a lot of ways, he is a Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, he's got the blueprints for a lot of different things, right? And so I think that in a nutshell, if you can get the bureaucracy out of the way, and you let a creative genius come in. And again, there will be people who push back and say, and I've been a critic of his transhumanism. I've been a critic of, various things that Elon has proposed in the years past. Nobody's perfect except for the host of this show and all of my guests and producer. But I will say that, they'll say, well, he's not that smart. He's got other people doing it. Yeah, that's pretty dadgum genius. Like, if you can go out and round up the greatest minds, the best engineers, the greatest thinkers, the people who know how to problem solve, and then the stick-to-itiveness, that's not a word, but, you just hang in there like a hair in a biscuit, and you just keep trying. It's like Edison with the light bulb. You just keep trying until we find a solution for this thing. And let's run it again. That hypothesis didn't work. Let's begin again. And just applying that deal. It's so wild to watch that scientific method, if you will, play out in this postmodern society where we've thrown science to the wind in an age that says trust the science, where there's no science at all, of what a man with this kind of mind can create if you just get the bureaucracy out of the way. So me personally, I find it kind of exciting. Let me go back. Let me just say, if he and I don't want to short sell Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, Ramaswamy's built 2 multi-billion-dollar businesses. He's an incredible entrepreneur. The guy knows how to get things done. He's obviously intelligent. And he knows how to handle the naysayers, whereas Elon might not be the greatest communicator at all times. Ramaswamy is the 1-2 punch, right? He comes in there and levels the playing field because his logic is oftentimes so sound and his rhetoric is so eloquent. But to the point of this whole thing, John Locke, his foundation and principles of liberty, or of freedom, rather, were life, liberty, and property. We're taxing the hell out of all 3 of those things. We've got to do something. I mean, the fact that you can own your property or at least pay your mortgage off and live there for, you own your house outright, and they're still going to tax your property. There's so many things that need to be taken care of with the IRS, with the property taxes. I still say, listen, have a tax manager in every state and every Capitol building and that person's assistant, and that's about all we need.
I think Vivek's really going to help also, because part of our government spending is, I think, over 1/5 of it is healthcare. So if they could find a way to fix health, if Vivek has obviously a deep amount of knowledge in that for the companies that he founded. So if we can get healthcare in order and then work it in with the new tax codes that we look at, there's so much efficiency. I mean, you and I talked a while ago about how I started feeling a little black pilled leading into the election. The place that we're in right now, I think, is a really, really, really positive place for the future. A lot of opportunity to actually do everything that we wish the government would have been better at. Now is the time where it can actually happen.
Well, let's take a couple of minutes and talk about another thing, Elon Musk. And I don't know, this is a troll that it might just be turning into a reality. We know the mainstream media, as we know it right now at least, is dead, right? The MSNBC, CNN, I mean, their ratings are dismal. Nobody's watching their garbage anymore. The media has lied to us. They call themselves journalists, yet they have no objectivity. They're nothing but a bunch of opinion pieces. The guy that's the head over at Axios, I mean, he had himself a little meltdown. Uh-oh, do we lose Anthony? He'll log back in. We could get Elon to fix this thing. There he is.
There he is.
You're back. Dun, dun, dun. I thought you were going to come back in like a Batman costume or a Superman deal.
And I'm back.
So, the guy over at Axios, he had a little meltdown. Do we have that clip? Can we play that?
Heck yeah, we do.
Yeah, let's play that sucker real quick. Here, old Jim Van Der Haas.
Matters. Everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day, or X today, saying we are the media. You are the media. My message to Elon Musk is bullshit. You're not the media. You having a blue check mark, a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter any more than me looking at your head and seeing that you have a brain and telling you have an awesome set of tools makes me a damn neurosurgeon, right? What we do, what journalists do, what you did in Mississippi, what Al Jazeera does in the Middle East. You don't proclaim yourself to be a reporter. Like, that's nonsense. Like, being a reporter's hard, really hard. You have to care. You have to do the hard work. You have to get up every single day and say, I want to get to the closest approximation of the truth without any fear, without any favoritism. You don't do that by popping off on Twitter. You don't do that by having an opinion. You do it by doing the hard work.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
Do it, and then play that on out
This
with
is
a little
good.
slow
Clap, everybody.
Slow clap. Look at this.
First of all, I've got to say, extraordinary content. It needed to be said.
Yeah.
It continues to need to be said. When all of the garbage is flying around on social media, lying about reporters, lying about the hard work they do, lying about the hard work editors do, lying about everything up and down about not only their alternative set of facts, but alternative set of facts about what people like you do.
All right. The funniest part that I love about that cringy slow clap deal that they do right there, besides Joe talking trash, is up in your top right-hand corner. You saw the Reverend Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton ain't a reverend. I mean, that's we just give everybody titles. I mean, if somebody's not a journalist, well, I can tell you Al Sharpton's not a reverend.
Yeah,
but
Dr.
yet
Joe
he's-
Biden, not a doctor.
That's right, but they've held on to that moniker for a long time, that title. I don't know if anybody, Anthony, who's calling themselves a journalist or reporter, but when you say X is the media, people ask me all the time. They say, Chad, where do you get your news from? I have no problem telling them. I listen to, or I go to town hall. I think that they, if you listen to the town hall reports on various channels at the top and the bottom of every hour, it's a pretty fair-minded report of the news. But one of the top places I do when I want to know what's going on in the world is I go to X.
Yeah.
I go to X. I'm not, I don't look at Chaya Reichik, libs of TikTok, and say she's a reporter, but my God, she sure does expose a lot of truth. How much stuff would we not know without somebody like Chaya who was out there exposing these things? What do you think?
Well, what's funny is when they say X, I mean, MSDNC has an X page. They all have an X page.
Right.
So it just so happens to be that's where it funnels down to, because people don't have time to turn on their TV anymore. And for the most part, it's people getting their information off social media. It's just depending. Essentially what they're doing is slamming accounts. And what's even funnier is that last little pep talk that he gave to people would have been perfect to give to journalists starting 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Do your job, be unbiased. Fact is, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, none of the main ones, including ABC, including the legacy as well, none of them have a bipartisan version. Fox actually has what is it called? Fox Now, I think it is, where it's literally just news. There's no opinion, no nothing. That's as close as I've seen to it, as well as Town Hall. So it's like he was giving a pep talk to what journalists should have been doing for a long time, and the fact that they weren't, and nobody was holding their face to the fire. And by the way, 300 words is plenty to get a point across about what's truth and what's the news. So he outlined why they are dying in the same speech that a room full of people that no longer should have a career are applauding. It's hilarious. And that's what I took away from that. And also it's almost comical. 5 years from now, when MSNBC is completely gone and nobody believes in the mainstream media, that's going to be a perfect video to watch them all do their swan song of how they've ruined the ability to actually present news.
Yeah, and you make a good point, because if you go back and watch, if people go back in their own time and watch that video again, watch how many times, how redundant that little speech was. How many times over and over again, are you kidding me? You're not a reporter. And then he said it over and over again 6 more times. Get to the point. Journalistic objectivity. At the end of the story, the person telling the story, I should not know your opinion on the story. That is what journalism is. Journalistic objectivity. Just tell me the freaking story. The reason legacy media, the reason the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox, all of them, the reason so many people don't trust them anymore is because, and as you said, Anthony, that people don't want to turn on their TV anymore because you don't get to the point. You want to give your opinion with a little bit of news sprinkled in. Royce, we're watching a transformation happen. People's eyes are open. They see the wool that's been pulled over their head. I mean, I could go back to COVID and talk about all the misinformation, disinformation, and out-and-out lies that they pushed. And you're going to tell me it takes hard work to be a journalist. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, we're not talking about we're not talking about Woodward and Bernstein that are meeting in a garage with Deep Throat, who are exposing the Nixon administration and doing the work. We're talking about the Rachel Maddows who are sitting on there crying over whatever crap that came across her desk that day with her opinion. By the way, she's the one who said, if you get vaccinated, you will not get COVID. Well, she apparently didn't do her work. Are we watching the downfall, the final spiraling downfall of the mainstream media, and will we see the rise of voices like this? Like, I think this is a podcast presidency. This 47th term, this presidency of Donald Trump, I call it the podcast presidency because I think it was the voices out there of independent thinkers, people out there who weren't beholding to some major news corporation out there. Are we watching the downfall? And to people like us, are we starting to see an elevation of these types of shows?
Yeah, I see it. I see it actively happening in front of my eyes. Obviously, you talked about, you're Gen X. I'm Gen Z. And all of my friends, they don't watch CNN. They don't watch MSNBC or even Fox News. When the election was happening, I wasn't watching Fox News. I was scrolling my Twitter. I was looking at my Instagram to get the stuff, right? We were on a website checking it out. Nobody's watching this stuff. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sure that cable television has never been slower. You find out something instantly on X or on Instagram or even YouTube video. People are pumping out videos faster than Rachel Maddow can work up a tear to talk about Elon Musk on MSNBC. It's a joke. And yeah, I 100,000% think that we are witnessing the fall of mainstream media. Quite frankly, because we're not getting most of our news from a reporter going out saying a reporter claimed that spoke to Donald Trump and he said this. No, we're getting it because Donald Trump's going on podcasts like Joe Rogan and Aiden Ross, the internet, right? And it's not just X that my generation or everybody really is getting their news. It's just the internet. It's YouTube. It's Kick. It's Rumble. It's all these different platforms. Everything but mainstream media is where news is breaking. And mainstream media is then taking that and breaking news, right? Journalism isn't happening that I've seen, in my opinion. Every single thing that has broken has not come from a journalist, but it's come from a podcaster or someone out on the street talking to them, getting it on their cell phone and then sending that to a podcast. Like, that's what this is. Colin Rugg gets a hold of a clip and posts it. It goes viral. That's all it is. This is not journalism. Journalism is dead. And Anthony, you said you'd give it 5 years. I think it's going to be less than that.
Probably.
And
right.
We're in this whole conversation of Elon Musk possibly buying MSNBC. And I think it'd be amazing. I just don't see the point in it, honestly. Because what is he going to do with it? He already has the platform.
Well,
he has the video platform.
He does.
That's what he's built with X.
I think that other than maybe just trolling the hell out of them and causing more snowflake tears. I mean, by the way, I will tell you, and you guys can look this story up on your own, a number of the federal administrations are now basically providing, I guess for lack of better terms, spaces to grieve that for people who are employees of the federal government who are afraid, like the Department of Justice and things like that. Like they're providing some grief spaces for them because they don't know what's coming. Good. That's that, and that again, that's what our tax dollars are going to pay for. I've got somebody in there in a fetal position, sucking their thumb, humming "Jesus Loves Me," rocking back and forth under their desk, and my taxpayer dollars are funding their salaries to do such a thing.
They don't know Jesus, Chad.
They don't know Jesus. They're not humming "Jesus Loves Me." Probably some Billie Eilish song or something like that. Okay, I want to hear your perspective on that, Royce, because my opinion on that is I think that, so Donald Trump Jr. came out and told Elon Musk on X, he said, buy it. And Elon said, how much is it? And then he posted the thing of the friar praying, and there was the woman bent over in front of him. Yeah. It was MSNBC across her rear end. And he said, lead us not into temptation. I think it's an ultimate troll. I don't foresee him actually doing it. There's been this idea that you could buy it and give it to Alex Jones, which again is not going to be journalistic objectivity so much as they're already an opinion piece. You're basically just switching it over to another side. Royce, what's your perspective on that? You say you don't think you see the value in it. Do you not want to just kind of like in an evil, sinister, dark laugh, just kind of want to see it happen anyway?
Oh, 100%. I think it'd be, Elon's, I forget who he says this is from, but the most likely outcome is like the most entertaining or whatever the quote is. You know, it's 100% the most entertaining outcome for him to purchase MSNBC and fire everybody and replace it with Alex Jones and all the people that they canceled over the years. I'm not arguing that that would be hilarious to watch. I don't think it helps the movement because MSNBC is going down regardless with the rise of platforms like Rumble and what we're on, and with X taking over. X is lightning fast. MSNBC, you know, people say that Elon paid way too much for X, but I think he's turned it into something way above the value that he paid, and he probably has the capability to do the same with MSNBC. I just don't see the worth in it. You know, well, I would rather him see him keep building what he has and lifting up people like Alex Jones, and then just dissipating things like CNN, MSNBC, fake news. Right? They're all being fed. Okay. If you go back to the Epstein files. Okay, I forget who it was, what organization. I think it was local news. Some reporter chick was like, I had everything, and they didn't let her release it. Yeah. They already have total control over these news networks, and they're freaking out about it. Why would we want to buy a total controlled news network when news itself, cable media, is dying? We're seeing these people. You know, when was the last time you read a newspaper? That died. They moved to the internet. Now the internet has taken over, and mainstream media cannot keep doing what they've been doing with cable television.
Yeah, and if you go back to like 1980, I think there were about 60 different entities that owned our different news organizations. Now I think there's 5 or 6 conglomerates that own. So it's an echo chamber. It is quite literally an echo chamber. Everybody's being fed what to say. So it's a puppetry in unison. Anthony, I think this is a result of when you have gone after and villainized and turned people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the Trump family and all of these different people into enemies of the state, when the pendulum starts to swing back, and I've said this for years, when the house of cards starts to fall, man, great is the destruction. And they built a house of cards on a fault line in a high wind. And I've said this for a long time. The pendulum always swings. I'm sorry, but when you got black football players in the NFL doing the Trump dance, I'm just telling you, it's suddenly cool after the fact. I hate that it's after the fact, after the election. It's suddenly cool to be okay with Donald Trump. There's an element of that, quite honestly, it pisses us off. It pisses us off.
Yeah, where were you last month?
Yeah, we kind of needed you leading up to November 5. But I think when the pendulum swings, these are the people who get caught in the wake of the hurricane, right? And so there's going to be an element of this. Rachel Maddow, she's a little disappointed. She's got to take a $5 million pay cut. She's only going to make a measly $25 million a year. So she will have to go maybe work the streets with Whoopi Goldberg to do some side hustle or something like that, because they are some oppressed people. Me personally, I don't have time to navigate your trauma, Rachel, but when the pendulum swings, we're going to start to see some destruction. What are you thinking about? What's going to happen?
Well, I do. Well, obviously, MSNBC has to go someplace. Royce, I slightly disagree. I think it would be a big deal for him to actually purchase it, because of the fact that as much as mainstream media is going to die probably soon enough, the idea is that the information that we get, and remember his intention with Twitter was to make X very similar to, I think it's called Weibo or whatever they have in China, where it's an all-encompassing platform. And he's already started to do that with some of the chats and some of the different spaces that he has on there. So then if he could actually have the funnel down feature of MSNBC on top as his news, and I don't want him to do it the Alex Jones way, like turn it into a regular news network to build some credibility. The next election will become easier because there's still going to be a couple million viewers on those networks. And if you could provide some kind of legitimacy and middle ground news from the MSNBC, then all of a sudden all you have left that's left is CNN and then obviously the original legacy platforms. And then, in fact, is whether he's got to buy out the Rachel Maddows, the Joe Scarboroughs, or whatever he's got to do, he'll make it function at a higher level. He'll cut out the actual fluff of, even I think it was Rachel Maddow said, I talked about her $20 million or whoever it was, Anderson Cooper. none of the advertising actually pays their salary. They're operating at a loss on some of these bigger positions. So they're probably going to be gone. And that's one of the sweet delights that I would have if they would be fired, and then turn it into a regular news network that can actually trickle down to the Facebooks, to the X's, have a special subscription on X that he can make money off of if you're a subscriber to MSNBC on there. Or MXNBC, that'd be fun. Right. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I don't think should just be a joke. I think it should be something that would actually help the future of this country have a real news network.
Yeah.
I don't completely disagree with that idea to help make it part of Elon's, ultimate everything app, right? The X app is what he wants to call it. I don't know. It does look like a meme right now, and it does look like a troll, and if he actually does it, that's what it looks like it'll be. But if it was part of this greater construction, I just think he already has the news platform. I just don't think he needs to buy another one. But with that in mind, I do agree with you having it inside of X and creating something where it is a regular news network. That's beneficial. I just don't think it's done with MSNBC.
Yeah, I agree, and we got to go. But I want to say to both of your points, if there was a way not to turn it into another opinion-based echo chamber, because I'm not a fan of that. I want to get unadulterated news. I want to hear the facts. I want to hear what's going on. We hear people like, and again, this is a joke. It's a troll. Whenever Joe Rogan, and I can't believe Fox News even ran this story, when Joe Rogan says, "I'll replace Rachel Maddow." There is a difference between conversational podcasting and journalistic objectivity. I will agree with what's his name a little while ago, that there is some work that goes into true journalism, although, let's be honest, Joe Rogan has exposed more truth than Rachel Maddow. It wasn't popular truth, but hell, truth rarely is popular. Again, when they, Galileo is saying, you know what? I think the earth revolves around the sun, not the other way. They're like, we're killing you. We're going to kill you, dude. And so it's not popular to go against the grain and the status quo. But, Joe says, hey, I'll take over Rachel Maddow's job if Elon Musk buys MSNBC. And then there was talk of saying, okay, well, you guys are going to take InfoWars and this crazy trumped up deal against Alex Jones. We'll just turn it into MSNB InfoWars. So again, I think I agree with you, Royce. I think that that's such a funny picture. The funniest picture I saw over the weekend was them sitting there eating the McDonald's or holding the McDonald's food with the InfoWars backdrop. That was hilarious. That made me laugh out loud. But here we are. It's fun to watch. What a time to be alive. I'm here for it. There it is. I like it. That's hilarious to me, dude. RFK's face, I still can't get over. They totally set that dude up for that. But who knows what's going to happen? I think all in all, it's good, right? I think we're sitting in a good situation. If they could turn MSNBC into a legitimate news organization, that would be fantastic. But again, do I see it happening? Not really. I don't.
On Polymarket, there's an 11% chance that he does it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, there's a chance. I mean, would it hurt my feelings to watch him carrying the kitchen sink, like he did into Twitter, carrying the sink into MSNBC?
Yeah.
Because these are some evil people. They really are some evil people that are just seminally sperm-carrying disinformation breeders, and I just can't stand them. And they just spray their vitriol all over everything. So
just remember how Twitter started. One guy challenged Elon Musk. That's how easy it was. Somebody said, well, why don't you buy it then? And then a week later, it started out as a joke, and a week later it became an actual possibility. So that 11% could actually be something.
Yeah, don't challenge one of the richest men in the world with Asperger's. It's just not good. It's just don't.
Who recently added billions of dollars to his net worth.
Yeah. All right. Anthony, are you still doing your podcast? You still got that going on?
So I took some time off from politics. So this is I'm doing this with you because it's Chad Prather, of course.
Yes.
And I needed a little bit, but they're still doing Truth Will Set You Free USA. I'll still be posting on my Instagram, but I felt, I needed some time. We won. I needed like a little breather. But yeah, Truth Will Set You Free USA is a place to do it. And I do a lot of speaking classes. I teach speaking. I do like a Toastmasters on steroids, which is easy to find if you go to doubledownspeaking.com. That's it.
Yeah, and you've got the book out, The Art of Doubling Down.
Yep.
And I've got you hold it up there if you've got it. I've got a copy, but it's downstairs with my other books. The Art of Doubling Down, Anthony Michael Russo. Check that out. You can get it where books are offered. And at The Truth Will Set You Free. USA.
Truth Will Set You Free. Yeah.
Truth, not drop the V.
Not
I knew as soon as I said that I was wrong. I am horrible with people's handles.
It's all good.
I'm horrible. Truth
Even though
will
you
set
have
you free.
You have a photographic memory except for handles, so that's fair.
There's certain things that I have I have a photostatic memory in that I'm like a copying machine. If I see it, I usually own it. But I'm not good always with numbers, and I'm not good with handles. And there's something weird about them not being complete words usually.
Fair enough.
I have a problem with that. and then I doubt myself. Royce, God, we're gonna have a good New Year, dude. Royce, we got some things that we haven't announced yet that are gonna be really, really cool. Are we still? Everything sound like it's still going good on your end? What you've heard?
Oh yeah. Things sound like they're gonna go phenomenally, and the audience should just be ready for a good Christmas present, I think.
And they do not expect any of this. They
No.
What's coming after the first of the year, if everything goes according to plan, what we're strategizing, this will be, forget MSNBC, forget InfoWars, forget Town Hall, forget Fox News. We might just build the biggest thing yet. I mean, it's just.
Well, don't give away too much, man. Let the mind wander a little bit.
I'm not. It might be one of the biggest things we've ever done.
Royce is getting a sex change?
No, he's not joining the military.
Not this year.
Not joining the military. Oh my gosh, I'm so this shirt makes me look like a fat thing of mustard, fat bottle of mustard. Thanksgiving plans, boys. Are y'all eating traditional? Are y'all doing anything? What's going on, Anthony?
I'll be in Ohio State, so I'll be eating with the Fox Big Noon kickoff crew, which might I add, now that the election is over, we're finding out that there's been some quiet concern. People think Fox Sports is actually a little bit more California liberal, but turns out there's some people out there, and they're starting to respect my ability to have free speech. So I'll be spending Thanksgiving with them, and Kelly will be out there with that team.
Who plays?
Ohio State, Michigan. We will always be, well, not on Thanksgiving Saturday, so I'll be there on Thursday. So yeah, every year we know that we're either going to be in Columbus or in Ann Arbor.
That ought to be a good time. Travel safe, my brother, and we're going to get you back on here. I want to keep you on a regular rotation talking because I value your voice. Anthony, you've been a good friend, buddy, and I appreciate you're a good hang, too. And you know something interesting about Anthony that I always forget is you're taller than I always remember you.
You said that the other night.
I know. I saw you the other night in Fort Worth, and you're always, you and Sky Corbin both, who was on last week, you're always both taller than I remember you guys. So yeah.
I got to give you a plug. Let me give Chad a plug because I've seen Chad's music. I've seen you do some comedy shows. And you at a comedy club, especially with Jesse, like the two of you, that was one of the better comedy shows I have been to. And I love good comedy. That was, you guys, that if you have a chance to go to a comedy club show of Chad Prather,
it's a different type of show.
It's That's way true. Different type of show. Hilarious.
It's a different type of show. There's something about those clubs that bring the comedy out. So, Royce, traditional, are you guys traveling? What are you going to do?
We're going to go to my parents' house. Traditional turkey. They do 2 turkeys. My mom makes a turkey. My dad makes a turkey. And we don't tell my mom, but we internally vote on whose turkey was better. But so it's always a good time.
Yeah, who's usually winning?
It's different every year. I can't say.
Okay. This is my turkey week. Tomorrow is our big annual turkey fry. I love turkey, by the way. Tomorrow is our big annual turkey fry. We'll probably have about 70 people come through. Last year, I can't even tell you how many turkeys we fried. It is one big party. The neighborhood hates us from the hours of about 4 till midnight. But it is one big ass party. So we're doing that tomorrow night. And Double inject your meat, people. Double inject the meat. If you're going to fry them, double inject the meat. Do not dry out the bird. That's my tip of the Thanksgiving season. Royce and I'll be back tomorrow. I think our guest is going to be my good buddy Jeremy Ryan Slate. He is our resident expert on the Roman Empire. It's amazing what this guy's mind knows. He's been a guest of the show numerous times. We're going to have him on. WatchChad.com, PratherTees.com. Go check it all out. Anthony, Royce, you guys don't go anywhere. Let me just say, go to where podcasts are offered. Leave a rating, leave a review, hit that like button. I'm the worst at telling you to subscribe and hit like, but go do it on Rumble, on YouTube. And anyway, that's all I got to say for today. All right. Hopefully we have no IRS, no MSNBC, no more felonies for Trump, no more transgenders in the military. And it'll be one big happy family for Thanksgiving. There. I said it. All right. For Anthony Russo, Royce Chamberlain, follow them both on social media. I love you guys. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.